Hello, everyone. Welcome to one more webinar from Untouchables. And today we are going to cover the theme, how to prepare for a job interview in the Netherlands. So let's dive in. So we're going to start the webinar of today, especially introducing ourselves. Me and my lovely colleagues are here to help you guys, providing tips and tricks about how to prepare for a job interview in the Netherlands from before, during, and after. And as I said, we are going also to provide you guys some answers about Q&A based on your questions about the topic. I think you already know it, but I will just give you guys an overview about Untouchables. We are a recruitment agency, as you already know, with more than 29 years in the market. We are the pioneer of the Netherlands when the subject is placing of internationals. We have 4 offices in the Netherlands, Den Haag, Eindhoven, Amsterdam, and Utrecht, where I am based. And we cover only office jobs. So we do for marketing, logistics, customer support, sales, you name it, from hybrid, remote, and on-site positions. To subscribe is super easy. You just need to go in our website, and our portal is quite easy to fill up. If you can go to the next slide. In the right top side from the screen, you can find the bottom sign in, and from there you start your registration. What we always tell you guys is for please fill up with the most information that you can. We create this portal with all love and caring for you guys to really put all the information so it's easy for us also to find you guys, because once you sign in the portal, you can already start applying, and once you apply, your process start with us. You can get a feedback, positive or negative. If negative, we explain the reason, and then you can get better for the next process. If it's positive, we start the process with application, interview, and then everything goes smoothly. Okay, but it's very important that you fill up all the informations, because once we have a role, it's also possible that we as a recruiters find you guys in our system. And for us to find you guys, it's important that we have all the complete information in our portal. Okay, so keep it in mind and good luck. And now that I already have the floor, I will start introducing myself. My name is Luis. I am Brazilian from São Paulo. I moved to the Netherlands around 7 years ago. I was here just on holiday celebrating my graduation, and here I met my love, my husband. I was not expecting I would find love so far from home, but luckily it happened to me. Back in Brazil, my background is in a commercial sector, marketing, and also diversity and inclusion. I was a speaker over there. But moving to the Netherlands, as mostly of the expats, we found, a little bit, we are lost for a while to find our career path here. And I found myself in recruitment after a while. Before I had some other side jobs, some things like to build my confidence in another country. And luckily, I found myself in recruitment. I don't know how I was not a recruiter before, because it's very nice to have the opportunity to put my marketing expertise, commercial, and my heart for diversity and helping people in a job. Another thing about the Netherlands that I think is very nice to share, what I like the most, is the freedom to be who you are. I already could be myself in my country, but in the Netherlands, it's really, I embrace who I am. And I think that, I feel really very safe here. Unfortunately, nowadays, there are a lot of other countries that people are not really allowed to be who they are. They're not proud to be who they are. But here in the Netherlands, I really feel this freedom, and I'm very happy about living here and have my career already in the Netherlands. And if you are here today, it's because you're also looking for this, and we are going to help you on that today, okay? And now, giving the floor to my colleague, Eliska.
Thanks, Louise. So, I'm from Czech Republic, Prague. I moved to the Netherlands for the first time for Erasmus exchange, and I liked it so much that after coming back to Prague, I think 2 years after, I came back to Den Haag. So now I live here already for 3 years. I think the biggest culture shock for me in the Netherlands was not wearing a helmet while biking. And what I like about Den Haag, obviously, is the beach and a really good work-life balance that the Netherlands offers. And I think now it's time for Jana to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name's Jana. I'm originally from the United States, Florida, if you know it, the Sunshine State. Very different from here in the Netherlands. But I originally came here for my studies. I studied anthropology, and also I had a boyfriend here who I am still with, and so I joined him. So also a little bit for love, a bit of both. And then, as I mentioned, I came from the Sunshine State, so one of the things I had to adjust to most in the Netherlands were the long gray winters. However, it's double-edged sword. I also love the seasons here. That has been one of the things that I love, especially now with the fall. All the leaves are changing. It's been so beautiful. So besides that, and also here, the high standards of living and the work-life balance has just been really amazing. I actually came here around 6 years now, so I'm quite settled, I would have to say. But I hope you guys are enjoying the Netherlands as much as we are as internationals in this country. But that's enough about me and about us. I say we can get started with that webinar that you came here for. We're doing it in multiple parts, like Louise mentioned. However, I'm going to start us off with before the interview, even though it's very important, the interview itself. A part of acing the interview lies also in the preparation done beforehand. So that's why we want to talk about this with you. But before we get to that, we want to set up a poll for you guys to answer. We would love to hear your responses. The question will pop up before you. It's, what's the first thing you usually do when preparing for an interview? Is it research the company, review the job description, practice answers, or maybe something else? If you do something else, feel free to send it in the chat. We would also love to hear whatever you have to say. And we will give it a bit of time so I can see your guys' answers come in. So a lot of you have so far done research and reviewed the job description, both very good options. We will also touch base on those in the presentation. I see that reviewing the job description is increasing in percentage, so lovely. There's already been about 13 responses. We'll let a few more come in, and then I'll let you know what, oh, someone said all of them.
Yeah,
So
Christina.
yeah. Also true. Obviously, some people do more than others, but again, we will also give even more examples to touch base on. Oh, it's changing again. Oh, we have a practice answers. Also good. I see that most people haven't said anything other than that. So hopefully this webinar can help you think of other things that you can also do in preparation besides these, and just give you a bit more arsenal than that. But since a lot of you said review job description, we'll move on and just get started with our first points. So first thing to think about in terms of preparations is the logistics and the research you have to do. Maybe obvious for some of you, but you need to think about the when, where, and who you'll be speaking to for an interview, and make sure you confirm this. So something to think about in terms of time is the time zone that you'll be in, especially if it's an online interview. Where is it going to be, online or on site? You don't want to show up to the office when they expected to see you not in person. And who is also, maybe check the pronunciation of the person's name and the accurate title that they have at the company, maybe what team they fall under, do a bit of research on that. Under that falls the research on the company. Important to keep in mind is that you can check out their website. Maybe a lot of people know this already. However, some of the parts of the website we really recommend you check out are about us. It's really good to know about the values and the history of the company. This sort of thing you might even be tested on within the interview. They might ask you, oh, what do you know about us? How much do you know? And this will also show your interest for them, show you invested time in understanding them, and you can figure out how you fit in within that. Also, recent news, it's good to check out milestones and things that the company has achieved. Maybe it's something you can work into conversation just to see, how you can bring something positive to the conversation, say like congratulate them on something or relate it to a skill set you've built up. Also to understand maybe the company structure and whether that works for you. Another good site is LinkedIn. You can review where the interviewers have worked before. If they have any certain interests, you can connect on, that sort of thing. And also for people who maybe get a bit nervous in interviews, you can get a feel for what the person looks like. You feel like maybe you've spoken to them before. Also, if you ever practice interviews, you can always practice with a photo of the person in front of you. Perhaps maybe that would help some people feel less nervous, for example. Also, in terms of research, study your CV. Some people, they have multiple CVs that they use when they apply for jobs. So make sure you are studying the right one. So you understand the facts about your past employers, your current employer. You don't want to mess this sort of thing up. Also know your employment timeline well, because the interviewer is going to have the CV on them, so they're also going to be checking that whilst you're talking. Also keep in mind like data on the contributions you made to the company and checking what you have in the CV and whether that matches. And also knowing your story well for why you're leaving the company and already crafting this sort of thing in your head for the research that you build up. And also, lastly, like a lot of you checked off in the poll, reviewing the job description. So you can think of examples of each of the skills in the requirements that they list, and you can always try to memorize these requirements so you know what to emphasize in the interview when it comes up. Besides that, in the next slides, we also want you to emphasize in terms of your presentation and certain practicalities. Something to keep in mind is if it's an online interview, you should test the technology, make sure you have a neutral background going on, that you have a clean and quiet space. And you've tested everything beforehand, the visuals, the audio, the link, if it's sent to you. And also, otherwise, if it's an on-site interview, something to keep in mind is that you plan the commutes that you're going to go on, the time you'll need to get there. You can try to foresee any delays as much as possible and think of alternative plans in case something falls through. Because you don't want to be late, right, to the interview. So it's always good to think of these things beforehand. Otherwise, in terms of presentation, also your dress code is important. Here in the Netherlands, the culture can be different from maybe the country that you're coming from. Here, it tends to be a little more business casual, but you can always check, say, the profile photos of the employees on LinkedIn or what the company itself has on their website to get a feel of what kind of clothing maybe they'll expect, or you can ask a recruiter if you're in touch with them about what their client usually wears. Also, maybe something, especially in the Netherlands, to keep in mind is the weather. Not everyone thinks about this, but it can rain. And I can imagine if you show up to the interview, you don't want to be soaking wet. So you can always check the forecast, make sure you're prepared in that sense, just to help with your confidence when you get there, right? And besides that, practice. Yeah. You can do as much research as possible, but if you don't practice the research you did, it might fall out of your head. It won't actually be good in the end, all the time that you invested. So some ways that we recommend you practice is doing some serious test runs, maybe with someone you trust. You can have them act as an interviewer, maybe prepare some questions for them to ask and have them also do some off-the-cuff questions, just so you can get comfortable with that sort of dynamic and the answers that you've prepared. Also, sometimes there's like online practice groups that you can get in touch with industry professionals that maybe will be willing to practice with you, especially when it comes to certain technical jargon that you need to use in interviews. And if you do the practice, just remember to utilize the feedback as much as possible, because if you don't look into, analyze what you did wrong, then you can't improve, as everyone knows. So then from there, we also would like to mention the contents that you should be researching, the content of the interview that you'll be doing, and also a bit of the mindset preparation. What that means is that from the research, you should think about what your opening statement will be. Think about what you want to emphasize, especially later on in more detail. That is maybe a way you can think about what you want in the opening. But very importantly, do not run through your whole work history. No one wants to hear that in your pitch. However, things you can think about mentioning are like your specializations, industry knowledge, any sort of strengths you have, and you can tie it into maybe what they're looking for, and also a bit of maybe why you applied, or if you know someone at the company, you can always mention it. For example, you'd be like, hi, my name is this. Thank you for inviting me for an interview for this position. I'm super excited to be here and learn more about the opportunity. I've worked in this and background, and I'm drawn to this opportunity because of this. And then think about what kind of value you can add to that pitch. And then always tailor it to the way you like to speak, whilst keeping it professional, of course. So, and alongside the elevator pitch, you should prepare answers to questions. Like I mentioned before, you can practice with someone else. Common questions that might be asked include strengths, weaknesses, what your motivation is for wanting to work there, what your plans are for the future at the company, your work history, what you know about them, and why you're suitable. A whole list of questions. Besides that, you can also look up online, for example, or we can give you further information on our websites. And also you can think about defining your key strengths and the narrative you want to highlight. So from the way you want to answer questions, your pitch, what is the value that you're actually wanting to bring, and how you want to tie that into what makes you the best candidate for the position. Besides wanting to show yourself as the best person, you also want to get to know the company, right? You want to know whether they are the right person for you, the right company for you. And by doing that, you can prepare some of your own questions to ask. And it also shows your interest in them. And last but not least, some people get more nervous than others. I know I sometimes do. So if you have that, just after all this preparation, the best thing I like to do is just repeat myself. I'm prepared, just be yourself, and that's the best you can do, you know? And you did all you could, and you just take it into this next step, which Aliska will give you more information about, but that will be what you can do during the interview.
So thanks, Jana. Before I dive in, we're going to have another poll. So I also would love to hear from you. What, for you personally, what do you find the most challenging during the interview? Would that be managing nerves, answering unexpected questions? I will again give you a bit of time to choose an answer. Yeah, we have lots of answering questions so far. Yeah. Building report as well. Yeah, whatever answer you choose, you're definitely not alone. Most people obviously struggle with these, and we're gonna touch on a lot of that. I think we can maybe, yeah, for most people, it's actually answering unexpected questions. I think we can maybe move on to the first slide. So let's start with something that usually really sets a tone of the interview. First impressions and body language. Of course, it's important to know if it's an in-person interview, yeah, of course, firm handshake and eye contact helps you to present yourself in like a friendly manner. Also, what helps is yeah, having a nice posture, tone of your voice, your facial expressions coming in the interview, even if you're nervous, with a smile on your face, always helps you to come across friendly and confident. And of course, it doesn't mean you need to force it. Another slide. Communication and answering. Of course, it's important to focus on active listening. We often feel like we want to tell the interviewer everything about our career, all the tasks and details about our position. But the key is really to listen and tailor the answer to what the interview is asking for. Good way to address like a simple structure that helps you answer behavioral interview question is a STAR method. In this way, you choose an example and describe it with situation, task, action, and result. Quick example of that could be, let's say you have a question, can you tell me about time you handled a difficult customer situation? So the situation in this case would be, yeah, one of our client was frustrated, contacted us about order that has been delayed. Task in this case would be what your responsibility was. So I had to de-escalate the situation, find a quick solution to handle this. Action in this case would be basically describing all the steps you took in order to solve the situation, and then result what was the outcome of the situation. This is just one example, one kind of simple structure that can help you answer this kind of questions. Usually during the interview, you would come across multiple questions that ask you about specific challenge or specific situation that you had to handle, and it's good to have some examples prepared from your previous experience. It can help you, of course, highlight the transferable skills and the strength. So it's a good, some people don't like to talk about strengths or positive things about themselves. Sometimes it helps to explain it in an example. Then on to the next slide. So now let's talk about handling the challenges and building a rapport. First, of course, it's good to be ready for the tough questions. Mostly people will ask you during interviews, why did you leave the position? What's the reason of any employment gaps? For some people, it can be difficult to discuss the salary. Basically anything, if you know there's something that could potentially make you feel a bit uncomfortable, it's good to be prepared for that. And if you're prepared, then even an uncomfortable question can be answered in a little bit more relaxed and confident manner. It's also good to use the check-in phrases. Ask, well, does this answer your question? Is this clear? Big topic is avoiding negativity, not per se avoiding anything negative that you experience in the role, but even if you experience anything bad or difficult, you can turn it around and focus on what experience did it bring. So instead of saying, yeah, the customers that I worked with were difficult and rude, that was frustrating, and the manager didn't handle the things well, which is definitely something that can happen. You can turn it around and say, yeah, in this role, I really had to learn how to deal with difficult situations, how to work under a lot of pressure. I became really independent thanks to this. And of course, something that can help is using small talk. We're all lucky that we live in the Netherlands, and that weather is always a topic here. So that's something that can also help. But again, nothing that you need to force yourself to if that doesn't feel natural for you. And last but not least, something that Jana already mentioned at the end of the interview, you will most likely hear a question if you have any questions for the interviewers. And that's definitely a good opportunity for you not only to find out answers to your questions, but also to show genuine interest and to show that you are well prepared. And of course, again, the interview is not only for the company, but also for you to figure out if the company is a good fit for you. Yeah, I think that was about it. And now Louise will talk about what to do after the interview.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eliska, for all the tips. And now we are going to talk about the after the interview, because believe me or not, it is still in process. The after interview is still your process. So let's go for the poll. Do you usually send a follow-up email after the interview? Always, sometimes, barely ever, or never? Let me know. I assume I do sometimes. Let me see your answers. Always, sometimes. Some people do never. Yeah, now I will give you guys some tips on how to do that and when to do that. I'm just wait a little bit for your answers. Oh, sometimes it's getting space. Nice. And you ladies, Jana and Eliska, you do always, sometimes, barely, or never?
Always, super
Always.
important.
Always, of course.
Always.
Well, it's been
Yeah.
a while since I've been on one myself, but recommend always for sure. But I'd be
Yeah,
curious with some of the people that say sometimes why you choose to do it sometimes and others not.
Yeah, sometimes when I do myself, I do LinkedIn messages. Sometimes I do by email, but if I connect with the interviewer already on LinkedIn, so I do on LinkedIn as well. Sometimes I even call, but yeah, but email is sometimes. But yeah, sometimes one. So interesting, super nice to see, guys. Let's move on for the next slide and start with the webinar. Yeah, okay. So as I said in the beginning, the end of your interview is still going on your process. So it's important that, because what I realized, some candidates, when the interview is done, they just like change the mood and they almost run, because I understand that the feeling of like a relief that you have faced the preparation and the during interview, it's done. So you just want to feel that feeling of mission accomplished and go. But don't forget, your process is still there. So it's important that you end in a very good tone, show enthusiasm that you are still there. You must still there until the end. So a firmer handshake, smile in your face, and you can thank for the time of the interviewer. If there's an opportunity to have a small talk, in case you felt a little bit anxious, or you feel like, oh, I feel a little tense or something, can have a small talk. That's nothing is wrong about it, but it's just important that you are still there, because in the end, in the other side is your potential colleague, is a person who is doing your interview, but also your potential colleague. So if you can interact with the person and stay there into the end, that is the ideal. Also, about what we just discussed about the email, in 24 hours, max 48, you can interact with the interviewer just to show your appreciation for the time, your motivation as well. You can already mention again something that you mentioned during the interview, why you are a good fit for that position, something that you would like to highlight, maybe that you forgot during your interview because you were tense or something. So you always can use this opportunity to go and engage again. Don't be too long. I think max 5-7 lines of email or message on LinkedIn, it should be enough for you to deliver again your message. And connecting on LinkedIn is always super relevant, especially because if the outcome from the meeting is positive, this person going to become your colleague. If not, it can always become part of your network for potential other opportunities, or even to become a friend is also an opportunity, a possibility. And managing the outcomes. What comes in the next round? Sometimes there is assessment. For example, what I mean with that, for customer support positions, I see that some clients, for example, they can out of the blue tell you, give you a scenario, say, look, this is a scenario, that's the customer, what you would answer. the customer is complaining about the product, about the process or something, what you would do. So it's important that you are ready for this, because sometimes you're going to know in advance that this is going to be there, so you can prepare everything, but sometimes not. They just give you a study case out of the blue, and you need to perform everything what you said. You said that you are good in communication, that you can write good emails and everything, but then your study case is there and you cannot perform because you're not ready. So it's always good to be over prepared than under prepared. So go for it, and I'm sure you can succeed. About the rejection, that's something that I know you guys struggle, because I struggle myself as well, especially being an international and seeing that the market, it's so tricky at the moment with so many competition. If there's an international position, everyone attacks, so you must be over prepared for that. And in case you get one rejection, you feel bad. 2, 3, 5, 10 rejections, you feel just done. And sometimes happen that people get so frustrated that they blame the interviewer. They think that's something personal, and sometimes we can get a little bit of big mouth or a bad email back from people who are frustrated because of their rejection. But what you guys don't know is that everything is registered in the mind, in the systems and everything. So it's important that you can handle also rejections with grace, in a good way, even though it's not a good thing. For each rejection, there is a reason. And for each reason, you can learn from it. So if you behave in a bad way, if you answer bad, you can be sure that if there's a new opportunity and you want to apply again for the same company, or maybe another company, the same recruiter is there, and then you left a bad impression because you could not keep your communication professional, even though you were not feeling happy at the moment, it can be bad for you. So my advice for you is try to understand what was the feedback about. If you don't understand, you can always feel free to ask the questions, why, and learn from it. Take a deep breath, take a step back, and try to understand. Is that because my CV was not tailored enough? Is that because my first impression was not good enough? Is that because I was too tense? Should I relax a little bit? Should I do, like Yana said, prepare some mantras, prepare better my first impression, my pitch about myself? I was not ready for the questions. So it's always a room for improvement. Until you get the job, you have the chance to improve yourself. And I know that dealing with rejection is not ideal, but nowhere to run. We need to face it until we make it. And understanding the next steps. Once you do an interview, you always can be free to ask about the next steps. For example, when it's going to be the follow-up from this meeting, when can I call you, when you're going to call me? And then you can always have a little bit of expectations alignment in advance. It's better than you leave the meeting like mission accomplished and you run, and then after you are thinking, oh my gosh, when they're gonna call me? What's gonna happen now? Should I call? Should I don't call? So it's always good to align this before. So the recruiter, for sure, we take care of so many processes, guys. You have no idea. And sometimes can be that the delay, like we agree with you guys in 48 hours and we didn't come back to you. Feel free to call us back and say, hey, you mentioned that you would call me after 48 hours. Is there any update? Always with professional communication is very important. And then for sure, it helps us also to keep in track. For sure, we do our best to always follow what we agreed. But in case not, you can always feel free to call the recruiter, never before the date, because I know that anxiety is the thing about our generation, that we can always try to call before to understand if we already have any news. But if we agree 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, try to keep the time and not calling before, please. Another thing about the contract talk, more interviews and onboarding. More interviews in case, for example, some companies, they do 2 rounds of interview, 1 online, 1 in person, some 3 in person, sometimes even 4 times with assessment. So it's important that in your first interview, once you ask about next steps, you understand the full process. So you also don't get frustrated, because sometimes you do the first interview and you think, okay, I'm done. That's my interview. You get the result, and then the interviewer say, look, you have 1 more round. You have more 2 rounds, have more 3 rounds can happen too. So you get, oh, okay, this is too long, or maybe you have something planned. So it's always good if you have the chance to ask in advance so you can already adjust, share your availability and make some agreements in advance. That's always super beneficial. About the study case, as I said before, it's always good if you are in the process, get to know the company, their product, what they do, because in case you have something to deliver in the meantime in one of these processes, you are ready. You don't need to run. If they say that your second round is tomorrow, you don't need to really hurry up on that, because if you are in the process, go understand everything about the company and feel ready for next steps. Also about the contract, in the meantime, for sure, there are questions, especially when you go for the last interview, you have questions about contract matters. Mostly the companies in the Netherlands, before you sign the contract, they already schedule a meeting with you where you can, go through your contract and cover all your questions about it, especially related to the onboarding process, that sometimes they do it remotely or on site. It's changed from company to company. And follow up with all the deadlines. As I said, not hurry up with the process that is already there, but always following the time that was agreed in advance. Next slide, please. And that was the tips that we have to you guys from before, during, and after. So we start from the research, knowing more about the company, what they do, and everything. Preparing for the questions. It's always very important that you prepare for all what can come in your way, because sometimes if you are nervous and you only prepare for that questions and you don't know how to reply, it can get tense, and it's normal. If you get tense, also be gentle to yourself. To be in an interview is never easy. Some people, once you get practicing, you get more comfortable about it, but it's super normal. So if you feel comfortable, you can always say, sorry, I feel a little bit stressed, but I want to finish this interview. You can be honest. In the Netherlands, they really appreciate honesty and that you are direct. So if you feel tense, the idea is that you don't feel that you are ready to the point that you don't feel, but if you feel, don't stress out. Be gentle to yourself and go into the end. Okay, and one thing that always helps, as is here, arrive early, because to be late in a first interview, that's not a good first impression. During the interview, answer the questions clearly and to the point. Be honest, because sometimes what happens, some people, they want to create one image of themselves that's not reality, and through the process, the truth will come out with one assessment or with one crazy, unexpected question. So it's important that you feel yourself, that you be yourself, and you are honest from the beginning into the end. Show interest for the position, for sure. Understand, some people, believe me or not, they go to the interview without knowing what the company does. What this is a super red flag. You cannot do that. You must study the company, study the position, know what is the position about. If the interviewer asks you, how do you think that your day gonna look like? You must know what is the job description, what you are being hired for. Because if you say, okay, I think I will have nice colleagues, I think I will have a nice job, that's okay. But what you're gonna do? You know what you're gonna do in this job. So it's very important that you understand the job description, what the company does, the product, the service, and everything. And super important, be yourself, because in the end, they are hiring you for who you are. If they invited you to the job interview, they already know your CV. They already know your background. And then once they invite you for an interview in person or remotely, it's because they want to know who you are. So feel free to be yourself in 100%. And the tips that I just gave now for you guys, to check about the next steps. Handshake, firm handshake again. Don't need to break nobody's fingers, but it's important that you show that you are there, from the beginning, look in the eyes, handshake, and smile in the face. Very important. And thank them for their time. And if you feel like, it's always very beneficial that you follow up with an email or LinkedIn message. And now that we are almost done with the webinar, we are going to the Q&A session.
Yes, I see that there's 3 questions in the Q&A already that Aubrey has posted for us, so we can take one each, I suppose. Otherwise, if you guys have more questions, feel free to add them in the Q&A section and we can review them as we're going along. But I see one of the first questions we have here is, I'll read it out. Many candidates mentioned that answering unexpected questions in the interview is a challenge for them. Do we have extra tips? So for answering unexpected questions, the only thing you can do to prevent something like this is obviously the preparation that we talked about earlier. However, if there really is a situation in which you weren't prepared for something, it is all right to take a moment to think about your answer. If you say, oh, that's a very good question, could I have a second to think about it? Most interviewers would be like, oh, yes, of course, go ahead. And then this is always a way to buy yourself a little bit of time to formulate a nice answer for yourself, while still respecting the time of the interviewer and making it come across in a professional manner. And then just try your best in answering the question with whatever preparation you have available about yourself. And then just be yourself, try your best, and hopefully it'll work out in the end. I didn't, either my colleagues can answer more to that question, or they can try to answer another question if they like.
Sure, I see a question. During the interview, is it a fair question for us to ask about the challenges currently the team is facing, and what are the kind of expectations that you are looking from me? I would say that's a great question. I think it's always good to ask about the team. It's good to ask also about why is the position opened? Is it a new role, or is someone leaving? What are the expectations from me? What is the first thing that I will have to do once I join the team? I think that's definitely not just a fair question, but really good to both questions, I would say.
Okay, one other question that I saw here that's very interesting. Language can also be a challenging, especially for foreigners seeking employment opportunities. How can one effectively navigate this? So, as I said, we as Untouchables, yeah, we know, we feel your pain, especially for English positions. Some people, they move to the Netherlands and they're looking, for example, they only speak English. The competition is real. The competition, it's really real. So it's just a matter of you really follow the processes and try your best. We have a lot of webinars, other videos available also on YouTube for CV tailoring, other things that we'll also have already realized that is difficult for you guys. So take a look in our YouTube channel. There is a lot of tips, because it's just a matter of preparation, doing, and trying and try and try and try and not giving up. Because sometimes, as I said, the frustration can be too big and we think, oh, there's nothing for me, this is too challenging. It is too challenging, but it's not impossible. We all have going through the same process, me, Jana, Eliska, all our colleagues, and a lot of other internationals in the Netherlands. But it's just a matter of you being really resilient and not giving up.
Thank you, Luis. In terms of another question, I see here that's following, someone asked, how do you identify or include people with disabilities in your work? First off, good question. For us, it's really important, diversity, equality, and inclusion. Here at Untouchables, we are ourselves quite a diverse group. And so being able to offer this sort of inclusion at our clients and within the work that we do is really important. First off is knowing the background of our clients and ways that we can integrate this diversity within their teams is something that we always think about and that we can also discuss with our clients to implement more. It's also good for us to know what kind of maybe issues with accessibility people have, so that we can see what best fits within positions that there are available and make sure that it's as inclusive as possible. And it's always an open conversation. With, discrimination is not allowed. It's not legally and also personally, the values of our company we don't agree with. So it is very important, and we try our best to identify it in multiple ways, and not just in terms of disability, but in terms of other aspects of equality as well. So besides that, we have a few other questions lining up. Should I answer a few more, or would Eliska, you want to jump in again?
Sure, I can also jump in. I see a question. Is there a way to check the company's culture before applying for a role? So if you're applying with us, and you see job description on our website, one thing you can always do is, if you have extra question that you don't find the answer for in the job description, you can directly reach out to a recruiter that's handling that specific vacancy. You always see their email and their phone number. So if you have this or any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to them directly. I don't know if there are any more questions in
I found some questions also in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Doug also asked, can we talk with one of your recruitment consultants before applying to a specific position? For sure. Our telephone number is available in the website, divided by offices. Also, if you see any job in our website, on the right side of the page, there is our business phone, our picture, our email as well. So you can be free to contact us to have a chat. We also have some walking-in events where you guys can get a little bit more in depth, the chance to really talk to us, to really have a little bit of CV feedback even, because our door is always open if you guys want to pass by to have a chat. But we have some events that are specific for that. And answering your question about the call, you can call by any time.
Yeah, I see there's also a question about salary, how to effectively negotiate this. Is there a best practice to have this discussion? So hopefully you would be able to see the budget of the salary of the position already from the start. However, I know that some companies don't do this. It is possible that the person will ask you about your own salary before sharing this with them, and you can always give them some sort of a range. However, if you're really at a stage in which you're trying to negotiate the salary, when you know what their budget is, they know what your range is, it's best to have an open conversation. You need to know where your boundaries are, but also understand where the boundaries of the company are as well. If you built enough rapport with the HR person throughout the interview process, it should not have to be a difficult conversation, and you don't have to necessarily shy away from it. Companies are also commercial. They also know that they're giving you a salary and that it's important to you for your livelihood. So it's, I would just keep these sorts of things in mind. And know where the flexibility is and stay open-minded for it. A lot of companies, they don't want to see that you're necessarily hard-headed, but you can still stay strong within the range that you had for yourself, and find reasons why they should give you more money. Obviously, you can't ask without having particular reasons for this, and just emphasizing the value that you would bring to them in particular. So see, these are some of the things I would recommend to think about. So I see there are a few other questions. Maybe Eliska, you want to answer another one?
Sure. There was, I'm sorry, I'm just looking for the...
I have one here, Eliska, about the STAR method. That I think you would like to answer. The question is, would you recommend to use the STAR for other questions besides behavioral?
Oh, sure. Besides behavioral, well, I'd say that it's a good method for describing any kind of situation that you handled. You also don't always have to strictly adhere to like all the 4 steps. Of course, it's just kind of a structure that can help you talk about things. But yeah, I would say it kind of fits a lot of different questions.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just would give a piece of advice to be careful with the length of your answer, because if you're going to use the STAR method for all the questions, maybe the interviewer will not have the time to ask everything what they want. Because what happened to me in the past, that I asked one question and the candidate was so busy trying to use so hard the STAR method, I let it be, because I was like, okay, let's see where it goes. But it can get too long if you try to use, like, for a simple question, for every question, the STAR method, it can get too long. But if you practice and you can already like know how to use it in a very effective way, yeah, no worries, because it's a very nice way for us to have an overview of what you can do and how you do. So it's a very relevant way, yeah, to show your skills for sure. Another question that I saw here, if I have a very diverse profile, and how can I apply for multiple roles? Should I create multiple sets of resumes? Yes. You should have, for example, in my case, giving an example, my background is in marketing. And I was applying for recruitment roles with my marketing CV. Not the ideal. I was getting a lot of rejections without understanding the reason. And then once I understood that I could have other CVs, I was like, okay, so I had my CV for marketing with Google Ads, social medias, and everything else. And I have my another CV for recruitment with everything what I have done in marketing, in recruitment, because in marketing I have built my own team, I select them, I did cold calling, so I had a lot of things, skills that are transferable that I could use in my new CV. And then once I understood that I could have more CVs, that was when I started getting invitations, because people with my CV for marketing and I was applying for customer support, for recruitment, they're like, okay, this marketeer, what he wants here. So once they really could understand that I had other skills and I could show this, and while doing my CV, I was always also preparing my answers in my head, because sometimes happen that people ask other people to do their CV, and then it's not very the ideal. Even though if it's someone do it for you, it's important that you study your CV, because if you are used to have, for example, one CV as a customer support, and then after you have one CV as an online marketer or content creator, and you didn't study your CV, it can be bad for you, because in the end they are looking for one CV and you are answering another questions, if you guys understand what I mean. So it's very important that you are aligned with the CV that you are presenting.
Yes, so we have 5 minutes left in our webinar, so we're just going to answer a couple more questions and then round things off. That's all right with everyone. So one of the questions that came in was in terms of references. Some companies require them and some don't. We often conduct references for our clients. However, that is not always required, but it is always good to have a handy list of people that a company can contact just in case, and know that these are available for them. If they want them, they will ask. It's just good to have a fresh network of people that know you and the work that you do anyways, just for networking purposes. So even if it's not required, keep it in mind. Besides that, there's a question in terms of, is it possible to cooperate individually with one of you for more tips? Yes, after this webinar, if we were not able to answer your questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to answer any questions you may have. And if you want any more tips, we also have a bunch of resources on our website, and we've done plenty of other webinars before that are also on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to contact us and utilize this as much as possible. We also, like Louise said, will have more events coming up where you can speak to us personally. So feel free to speak with us there as well. And lastly, one last question I see. It says, can you clarify how your fee structure works? Do candidates pay placement fee? No, agencies are free to use for candidates. If anyone asks you for money, keep in mind it is very, very likely to be a scam. So please do not send out your money to any companies or agencies for placements. That is something we handle ourselves with our clients, so please don't worry about that. Now that we'll do one last question I see that just came in. Aliska or Louise, would you like would like to answer as a team. How do we deal? Do you deal only with candidates who have never been in the Netherlands, or also with people who have already worked there and are interested to go back?
Sure, I can answer that. We really do deal with all the candidates that are interested to work in the Netherlands. Doesn't matter if you lived here before or didn't. Pretty much anybody can apply or contact us.
Yeah, just important that you guys, if you're applying from abroad, that you add in your CV. Is very important that we know from where you are. If you already have concrete plans of relocating to the Netherlands, in case you have a place to stay, let's say that you are from Brazil and you have a place to stay in Amsterdam, that's important that in your CV is clear that you have a place to stay, that you have concrete relocation plans. Because if you apply for one position from another country, especially that far, and then we see that probably you're going to get a rejection because you are too far. And some of our clients, they want someone to start as soon as possible. Happens that there are situations, but for us is as much as information that you can add on your CV to make it as clear as possible for us and for you guys are super beneficial.
Thank you so much, Luis. So, guys, this will round off our webinar. I also see that there's one other person who asked about their own personal situation. Please reach out to us and we can answer this for you. We are happy to connect with as many of you as possible, but we want to thank you for attending. It was really lovely to have you all here. We hope that you were able to learn something new and gather some useful information to prepare you for interviews during and after. Please remember also we will have a recap of this webinar on our YouTube channel later if you want a refresher. And you can always reach out to us and review any materials we have on our website. And please feel free to follow us on our socials for more webinars that are coming up soon. And thank you all again. We hope you have a lovely evening from here. And Luis and Eliska and I will all say bye together.
Thank you, guys. Do it. See you next
Bye.
time.